Welcome to Chlorine News Splash on Chlorine, Callaloo. Well, I am Naomi Walters and I hope everyone is doing well and is staying safe. I really hope so. Make sure to keep masked up and wash your hands. Let's get straight into the news tonight. Chlorine Callaloo is all over. All over, when I say all over, I mean all over. We are streaming live on the Facebook pages of and YouTube pages of Trinbago Freestyles and the Facebook pages of Move Along, Cindy and Jane, and the Center of Excellence Swimming Pool Complex. Remember to follow us and like our videos and share the live. Make sure and share the live, because I know you're on your phone and I know you're watching me right now, and I know you could share the live to your two friends and your two partners at home. Well, that should be home. So just share the live. We are less than 38 days away from the Olympics, Tokyo 2020 Olympics. The summer 2021 Olympics are on. I am so excited. I don't know about you, but I am so excited. In just over 5 weeks, we are going to be glued to our screens, just as you all are watching me now, but just more intense. We are going to be glued to our screens as the world's greatest swimmers dive into the Tokyo Aquatic Center for 8 days of scintillating competition. The competition starts on July 24th with the male 400-meter IM and ends on July 31st with the men's 4x100-meter medley relay. And we're not going to fool ourselves. We know you have your TV volume low right now because you're watching the US Olympic trials. Are you watching it too? Look at the TV right there. I'm watching it too. We are watching the US Olympic trials, and the Olympics, still more than a month away, we are sure to have an exciting competition on our hands. Last week, Sunday, Australia's Katie McKeown sent a strong signal of her intentions by breaking the 100-meter backstroke record of USA's Regan Smith. At the OC Olympic trials, McKeown touched the wall in 57.45 seconds. That's real fast, but I don't know how them does do that. First of all, I can't even swim backstroke, so I ain't even gonna bother to ask. To not only erase Smith's 57.57 time, but she qualified for her first Olympics. That is so great. Of course, we will be watching our very own Dylan Carter and Cheryl Thompson representing the red, white, and black in Tokyo. Speaking of which, last week, Cheryl Thompson launched her new GoFundMe account for her Mission Unstoppable Olympic campaign. And the support was amazing. Up to news time today, she had almost reached half of her US $10,000. It's expensive, huh? I know all they want to give. So just feel in your pocket and give some money. I know you want to give, so here's how. Just search for Cheryl's journey to Japan and her GoFundMe page should come right up. So go and search now and it should pop up, okay? Right. In Chlorine News, up next, we have an exciting program for you. Johnnya Ferdinand is going to be featured as our Chlorine Champion. Cindy is back and is still ChillaxCin, and will feature on her new segment, Professional Footballer Leland Archer. And tonight, we have a big coaches connection. Coaches Franz Huggins and Strasser, Sankar, sorry if I said it wrong, came back home, well, virtually at least. And they discussed with Coach Asia and Coach Rocky the first world coaching experience. But next is a man who has swum over 100 open water races. And at 82 years old, he is still swimming over 100 open water, boy. After my first one, I stopped, and that was only some 150 meters. I say no more of that. We need to learn our history, and he has decades of history as a swimmer, a water polo player, and an administrator. In this Life Boy segment, we have the legend himself, Mr. Gordon Borde. Well, that's it for me. Remember to stay safe and share this live. Also, to all our CSEC swimmers, please remember this is almost over and good luck in your CSEC exams. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, and welcome to the Life Boy Saving Aquatics, one guest at a time, right here on Chlorine Callaloo, Trinbago Freestyles, Facebook, and YouTube Live. Like to thank Naomi for the news, and as she said, and she gave a very good introduction, so I don't have to do anything really and truly. To our next guest, which is Mr. Gordon Borde. Good evening, Mr. Borde.
Good evening, welcome.
What you thought about Naomi's introduction? What you thought about the news splash?
Fantastic. I thought she was a professional already.
Well, she gets in there. She gets in there. How are you doing? How have you been?
I'm keeping fine, adhering to all the protocols that are expected of me. And they say that the elderly must look for themselves more than even the young people, you know. But everybody has to look at all of the protocols and try and keep safe.
When you're talking about the elderly, you're talking about yourself?
Well, again, dear.
I don't look at you in that category, you know. 100 open water swims. I mean, and you're still doing at it. As Naomi says, she quit after the first one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Mr. Borde, last week, actually, we had on this program, we had on this segment, actually, Chantal Ross, right? And I mean, I know you may have tuned into the interview, but one of the things she spoke about is related to us knowing our history. And when she said that, I immediately started to hear your voice in my head about about history of swimming, about us knowing our history. Why is it important for us to know our history?
Well, it is very, very good for the young people coming into the sport, and the old people who has performed, and other people would like to know what is happening about swimming in Trinidad and Tobago. And the younger people would like to aspire to be in the history books of swimming in Trinidad and Tobago.
And we were talking, and you were mentioning that actually the Amateur Swimming Association last year would have celebrated 70 years.
70 years, yeah. Actually, the formation of not ASAT, but the Trinidad and Tobago Swimming Federation was done in 1950. So at the year 2000, it was 50 years, and we started to do some work on it from 1999, the year before. The late Joey Kaufman, the late Mervyn Marquis, and myself, we spent hours and hours doing this thing to get it ready for 2000. And it was given to then the Swimming Association to move forward with it. And nothing was done. I don't want to go into this too much, but I think this is now 20 years after. We are 1970, and we should do it. It is a very good thing for swimming. Let everybody know. All the other federations in Trinidad, they have a history of this sport, right? Whether it's 25, 50, or 75 years. And why shouldn't the Swimming Association get their act together? All of us included, not only the administration of the swimming, all of us should do it, but we could pull from different people who are not in the federation, in the management, to give us information, right? But what has happened is that between 1950 and 2000, we got a lot of information. Actually, we could add to it, right, a little bit more. And we could now add on the other 20 years from 2000 to 2020, right? And naturally could be got from a lot of the swimming clubs, right? In those days, you're talking about 25 years ago and so on, there are about 8 or 9 clubs. We have 26, I think, now. So surely everybody could give the history of their own clubs, what they've accomplished, right, over the period. And we could get it into there. We could talk about all the past presidents of the association who have given a lot of time to swimming, perhaps the secretaries and, you know, the management committee and so on.
Right. So, I mean, this would require, of course, not only with your input, but it would require like us getting together as a community to try to piece together the different parts of the history. I mean, as indicated, a fair amount of work was done, right? So we have probably about 50 years or so. Probably we have something still to tighten up, and we still have about 21 years to go. So
Correct.
we would require persons, you know, I mean, this is a platform where a lot of past swimmers have tuned into, and we want to encourage persons to probably come on board, correct?
Definitely, definitely. Everybody who's really interested in swimming and so on, the past administrators of swimming, the coaches, and everybody that have information that we could put into this book. We a history of swimming. You know, it comprise swimming, water polo, diving, open water swimming. It is a lot of information we have, and we should be proud of it. And we should, in other words, get this done. And I'm giving a period, perhaps from now to the end of the year, because I think a lot of people are not working as they used to work. So they have a little more time, and we could do it by Zoom and start this up.
You mentioned diving just now. We had any diving in the past?
Yes, diving was a very popular thing. We used to dive in St. Mary's Pool, you know, Stolmeyer boys and so on. I can't remember all the names, but it died, the sport. And but we could revamp it. And I know the new association, the new Aquatic Center has a beautiful diving board. I mean, Olympic size that can be used and encourage people into diving. Diving is another part of swimming, you know.
So if you're now tuning in, this is the Life Boy. There's a segment on Chlorine Callaloo on the Chinbego Freestyles Facebook and YouTube Live. And we have Mr. Gordon Borde, who has swum 100, over 100, I believe it's 110.
111.
111. Yeah. How have you, for somebody who swims very regularly, how have you really been managing not being able to swim at this time?
Oh, Lord, it is really and truly a hard thing for me because I really enjoy swimming. I know it is good for me, and it's just relaxation. I used to go to St. Mary's Pool at 6:30 until 7:30, 3 times a week, and every Sunday of life for the last 25 years, as long as it is physically possible, I go to Maracas and we swim 3,000 meters. We started up that in 1995, and the amount of swimmers has increased over the time. So we swim approximately 3,000 meters. So we look forward to that on a Sunday. Now you might find that that's a lot of swimming for an old man like me. Right? But I feel very good about it. I think it has attributed to my good health so far.
So swimming for you is not just about competition, it's about, I mean, your health and your wellness.
Correct, definitely. But just going back a little bit, Jason, you know, in the years like before 1950, they only had one pool in Trinidad, right? Actually two, Shorelands Pool and Mount St. Benedict Pool, right? So when we were getting ready to go to some meets in either Barbados or Jamaica or anywhere inviting us, you know, Venezuela and so on, the only place that we could have got a little training and get our times and so on, it was Mount St. Benedict, right? I mean, the other pools like Marlins, not Marlins, what they call it, St. Mary's Pool, they came in 1965, right?
Right.
What they call it, the Panam Aquatics, they came in 1971, and you had Marlins in 1976. Now there were also like a pools down in San Fernando, 1 or 2 small pools, right? And that's what we had in swimming. But coming in the years, as I told you, we had the facility of what do you call it? Shorelands Pool and Monks and Benedict until we got to about 1965 where we could use St. Mary's Pool and the others. So people sort of gravitated to going in the sea, right, and starting to swim. So in those days, they had a lot of regattas and so on. St. Vincent Street Jetty, I'm talking before 1950, and down at Palm Beach. That's where they used to hold all the swimming meets, right?
Right.
Until the early 60s when we had the pool facilities. Also, people got very involved into open water swimming, and that was started in 1962, right? And
Right.
I must say, if it is one thing that they kept every year, since then, I think it's only last year or the year before, they had bad weather and we didn't have it. So we had about 60 swims with ASAT of open water swimming. And that has become very popular in Trinidad, and I must say in the West Indies.
Right, so at least we have been keeping the maracas open. But one thing you mentioned to me when we spoke, you also said back in the day we actually had more water polo clubs than swim clubs.
Yes, definitely. All in the from 1950, they just had like two swim, not 50, from say 1965, right? So from 65 onwards. But besides that, they had no. They didn't have any real swim clubs other than the Monks and Benedict, as I told you. But when the other clubs came on, they had like the federation was comprised of more water polo clubs. Water polo. We used to play down in the yacht club and play down in Palm Beach and so on. So in the federation, the management that consisted of say 2 swimming clubs and possibly 7 water polo clubs. But it was all for the betterment of swimming overall.
So, I mean, I know we could go on and on and on because we're talking about 70 plus years of history. What you talk to our listeners and our viewers, I mean, why should we be doing this? Final plug.
Well, the point is, you know, it's a funny thing. I was looking at a picture of us that went in 1963, Trinidad decided to play in a triangular series in Barbados. And they had 23 persons that went in the team. Joey and myself were the specialist swimmers, the rest were water polo. I looked at the picture yesterday, and there are only 7 of us left. What I'm saying, when all the people leave, all you could have is history, right? So I think it is a valuable thing for the association and others to get the history, at least 70 years, and we always could move on from that. And I think it will inspire children to try and be one day into the book of history. Also, you know, we could have a Hall of Fame. This could be kept down in the new facility down in Vancouver. And I think that's a great thing. People like to see what is the people that contributed to swimming and did well for Trinidad and Tobago, right? I could remember, if I say Jason, Barbados, they formed the Swimming Association in 1949, but they were able to accomplish the goal of a 50-year history book. And they had it in 1999. Joey Kaufman, Mervyn Marcus, and myself went to it. They built the aquatic pool, and we attended to it. You know, it brings back a lot of history there. And they could do it in quick time. And surely we now, with 70 years of information, could go ahead and get something like this done. You know, get a sponsor, get some people who are interested in producing the book, history, and we could start from there and set a goal possibly for the end of this year to accomplish that.
Mr. Gordon, Borde, I'd like to thank you for your contribution this afternoon and for the last decades as well. I mean, it's good that you still want to get things done and get the history put together. And we will do our best to use this platform as well to see how we can encourage persons to get on board and to really contribute to helping you meet this target to, you know, try to collate some of our history or the most of our history, hopefully by the end of the year.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would speak to the management of the present management of the Swimming Association to let's see if we could get ahead with it. And surely some people from your club and so on, I'm hoping that you offer your services so we could get together as a team. And just 1 minute. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So and we could get this done as soon as possible. But we need the help of everybody. And I mean, every federation in Trinidad, if it's Dice Federation, you're playing cards, they have a history. We must get that history done. And I'm saying possibly in 6 months, we should be able to accomplish that.
Very well. So thank you very much and continue to keep safe.
Yeah, thank you. And the same to you. And thanks for giving me the opportunity to come on here tonight and talk a little bit about swimming. I mean, that's my love, swimming. And yeah. So yeah, that's it basically. So
no problem. Thank you very much. Have a good night, man.
All right. Thanks so much.
No
Bye.
problem. Good evening and welcome to this segment we call Chlorine Champions. And on screen we have Johnnya Ferdinand. Good evening, Miss Ferdinand.
Good night, Jason. Welcome.
Jason, how are you doing?
I am great, and you?
All right, so Johnnya Ferdinand, a national athlete. You're going to see all the titles we had in the ad where she's a model, a social media influencer. Johnny, I don't think your name long enough. You have all those things after it too?
No.
So this is Johnnya Ferdinand. As I said, she's also a police officer, social media influencer. She does modeling as well. Johnnya, good evening. Welcome to Chlorine Champions. And this segment actually is sponsored by Visualize. So I had to put on my glasses. I keep forgetting, like I need ginkgo biloba too. Johnnya, tell me, who is Johnnya Ferdinand?
Who is Johnnya Ferdinand? Johnnya Ferdinand is anybody that she wants to be. Johnnya Ferdinand is known as a model, a national swimmer, and also a police officer. She's a lot of things.
I know he's an auntie too.
On weekends, one weekend.
So how have you been dealing with training during this time, during this lockdown?
To be honest, I haven't been training, but I've been finding ways to deal with it. So I've been doing a lot of land work, a lot of land training. But at the end of the day, it's not enough because I based in water. I'm a swimmer. I'm supposed to be in water. I'm not a track athlete. I'm not a footballer. I'm a swimmer. So
right. So what? I mean, I know we had different games that were coming up. Is there particular games that you're hoping to qualify for or go to?
Olympics is definitely out, but I'm hoping to qualify for World Short Course, which is in Dubai, which is in December.
All right. So that means, I mean, if you're training for December, I guess we had to find a way to get some full time.
Yes, we do.
Oh, so I hope that the powers that be probably are listening. If we have an athlete, you know, training for Worlds in December, we had to see what we could do on our side. So you said you're trying to do as much as you could do during this time. I also see before on your social media, I see a lot of exercising and jumping around and all kind of craziness that I cannot do. And I saw you started a fitness page with Nicolette Panther, who is a national rugby player. That's
Also a police officer.
also, there's a lockdown thing.
Yeah.
So how did this start? Why did you partner with Nicolette?
Nicolette and I started working out together, and one day after we work out, she was like, Johnnya, like, why don't we start a fitness page? And I was like, you know, that's a good idea because that's our field. And right after we started a fitness page, and then after we started to go live, and then after, basically we was using this to give back. As being 2 police officers, I mean, they don't really hear nothing good about the police service these days. So as being 2 police officers, as being 2 national athletes, we wanted to do something. We wanted to do something that people would say, like, Mommy, like, I want to be like Johnnya. I want to be like Nicolette. Like, we wanted to give back. And this is our way of giving back because a lot of people are home. A lot of people don't have any jobs. A lot of people are working from home. And this is how we try to keep people fit and motivated. And we try to make it very entertaining. So every time we go live, we have a new guest. We have an artist. And basically, it's been going really great so far.
I see tomorrow. I think you have a live tomorrow with
tomorrow with Second Star, and it's at 6:30 p.m. Yeah.
Yeah, put up a little thing here so people can see. Right, so you can tune into her live tomorrow. So, Johnny, I think Second Star will make it. To the workout.
Yeah, like we're not doing anything hard because at the end of the day, we don't know what people's strengths are. So it's nothing hard, but it's something to, you know, sweaty and it's nothing hard.
So, did you have a choice to get involved into swimming? Because I know who your mother is. Your mother is Terry-Ann Evelyn, Coach Terry-Ann Evelyn. You had a choice?
Of course I did. The choice was mine to make. To be honest, I didn't really start it off swimming. I started off track, and that didn't work out because I got into an accident, and it was my choice. And I told my mom, I was like, Mommy, I want to start swimming, and she was like, she was supportive. It wasn't like just because I'm an ex-national swimmer, I'm an ex-national coach, my daughter has to swim. You have to swim. She wasn't like that.
Yeah, I could testify to that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Right. So I have some quick questions to ask here, right? So you have to answer as quickly as possible, right? You ready?
Born ready.
Born ready. You prefer desk duty or foot patrol?
I prefer being indoors. Yeah.
I prefer being indoors.
Yeah, I prefer being.
All right. Burpees or push-ups?
Push-ups. You see my arms, like.
All right. 400 IM or 200 back?
Jason,
you have a choice. 400 IM. The live is not going to stick at this point in time. You're going to answer the question. 400 IM or 200 back? You have to choose one.
Probably 200 back since it's less.
I know it was that. All right. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the most, how much trouble you just give Coach Terry-Ann?
You sure 10 is the most?
You can go to 12 if you want.
Probably 12. Like, I don't mind, like, it sounds bad, but most of the times, I really give my mom a hard time.
So, how much, all right, so that's Coach Terry-Ann. How much trouble you just give Mom Terry-Ann? From 1 to 10. That's a 12 too?
Yeah.
I seen Donna. Oh, good. Donna have a comment. She put about 10 million.
She's right.
In the chat. So, but Johnny, how is it having a mom as a coach though?
Very toxic. It's like a relationship. honestly, it's like a toxic relationship. But then on the good side, my mom, having a mom as a coach, your mom wants the best for you. Your mom knows you. So like she knows is it does be hard sometimes, but is your mom being a coach is one of the best things.
So it's toxically the best thing that ever happened.
Facts.
Facts.
It's one of the best things.
So Johnny, I mean, you spoke about Worlds in December, and as I say, we hope we could get into the water soon, so we could get into training, right? Why do you think you have what it takes to make it to the Olympics in 2024?
First, I would say I have a lot of time. I have 3 years. Second, I believe, and everybody around me believe, that I am super talented and I could do whatever I put my mind to.
Oh, that's it. I don't mean it like that. So Johnnya is super talented. Johnnya, see, I mean, I must say that I am very pleased with what, and I told this to you personally, but I'm very pleased to see what you're doing with your social media and using it to encourage young persons to get active and get fit. I mean, you know how it is. You need to bring in a little celebrity now and again to keep people interest peaked, and you're doing the right things that way. And I hope you continue in this positive light with your social media. And also, I hope that actually putting my money on you to make Olympics in 2024. Yeah, I don't have much money because I ain't working right now, but I put my money on you. And I mean, we really wish you all the best as you try to make the best of what Johnnya could be.
Thank you. And Jason, I really appreciate everything that you have done for me in the past.
You're meant to take off the glasses so they see me crying. Go ahead.
You have done a lot, and because of you, a lot of doors are opening. And because of you, like, you've been with me since day one. You've been with me since I started swimming. You've been with me since Seahawks. And you have been very supportive.
We will continue to try to support through this medium, and I tell you, Olympics 2024, we're looking at it. No COVID, we're going forward.
Facts.
Right. So wait, and oh God, do a little plug for your thing tomorrow now. Give them a little something. Tell them to tune in now.
Okay, so tomorrow the live is going to be on our fitness page, which is JohnnyNico_fitness, and we're going to have Second Star as our guest, and it's going to be at 6:30. It's going to be aerobics. Aerobics, yeah. Aerobics.
All right, good. We are challenging some. We have Cindy coming up next in the next segment. A show tomorrow. She's going to join in for that segment. Thank you very much, Johnny. And we'd like to thank Visual Eyes for sponsoring this segment. Remember, there are 3 locations at Trinity, Chaguanas, and Curep. Thank you, Johnnya. And up next, we have Cindy Ann with ChillaxCin. Yeah, we bring her back like we had no choice. Oh, gosh. Up next, we have Cindy.
I was really enjoying that music a little too much. Welcome. It's me. I'm not in the kitchen. I lost my hat. I'm here. We're here, ChillaxCin. I just want to tell Johnnya, if she was very, very serious about swimming, she would have joined the Coast Guard and not the police service. So she would have been training all now. Johnnya, you are welcome. So you got that tip free of charge. It's not too late. Just switch over, you know. Hi, everybody, and welcome to ChillaxCin. And that's exactly what we'll be doing here tonight. So, you know, grab a cup of coffee, your tea, your coconut water, you know. Tonight, I'm really excited to have this guest with me. I've known him since I think since he was a baby. You know, we kind of went to the same, he was in elementary, I would have been in primary, but very similar. He's here without even, he's here. You know what I mean? What can I say? He ex-swimmer, soccer player he started with the St. Anne's Rangers, played with Charleston College of Charleston, awarded Rookie of the Year, right? Last year, I mean, he was awarded Defender of the Year. You've made 2018, 2019, 2020. Join me in welcoming Leland Archer. Welcome, Leland.
Oh, things.
You're good?
So far, can't complain.
It's so good to see you. Leland, you started swimming around ages 6, 7, and then you stopped around 11, 12 because you fell in love with soccer. Is that what happened?
I was swimming a long time ago, probably age of 7. Back in the day, flying fish and marlins for a little bit, and then football kind of just take over from that point after that.
So from flying fish, you went to play with St. Anne's Rangers, but you were also on Fatima's football team as well. You helped them win the North Zone finals or something at some point, right?
Yeah.
Fatima boys will always be good boys.
Fatima boys are good boys, always.
Good boys. So you went and played for the St. Anne's Rangers. I don't know if you're familiar with, you know, the mental hospital in Trinidad is called the St. Anne's. So is it weighing heavily on St. Anne's or on the Rangers part of it?
No, definitely more on the Rangers part of it. On a couple of them might see a little escapees, but nothing too big.
Nothing too big. Nothing too big. Leland, we can't start this conversation without talking about January 31st. I know, right? 7-0. Let me be the first to say, because I know as an athlete, it can't be easy. Nobody trains to lose, but it happened, right? And people usually what happens is that the boos always tend to be so much louder than the cheers. Tell me in one word or in one sentence the collective atmosphere of the team after that game.
Well, obviously, you know, nobody's prepared to lose, but I think the team at the time kind of wanted more for ourselves, in the sense that where Trinidad football is right now, not the greatest. So I think it was kind of more of a letdown for the team, and not doing well in that game. Although it was a game that, you know, most of the guys were not in season at the time, but they still wanted that good performance to kind of show the public, you know.
Right. So how do you block out the noise from all that booing and then the memes and the personal attacks, because it comes? What does Leland do?
Well, you just had to kind of block out certain opinions. Everybody entitled to their own opinion. So for me personally, after games, kind of just stay away from social media for a little bit, though kind of log in too much on what people say, and kind of, you know, talk to the people that giving you the good criticism that you actually need, and not, because if you try to look at things on social media, it'll kind of just swallow you in a sense.
Yeah, you have to just, you see, now if you were swimming, you could have just gone under the water and do your thing. Nobody had to see you. But who chose soccer? Is it soccer? Is it football? Is it small goal post? What is it?
It depends where it is.
It could be any of the three.
Yeah, any of the three. Not really the small goal, but any of the two.
Any of the two.
Yeah.
So now you play defender. What is that? What does defender mean? Tell me about that. Is it that you're defending yourself from everything? Is that why you could attack and defend when they attack you on social media? You know exactly what to do? What does the position defender mean? And is it Charleston battery or Charleston battery?
Again, depend where is. You know.
So tell me, as defender, what does that mean?
Well, basically, you just try to stop the ball from going in the goal, in a sense. You know, if you want the basic definition of it, just try to stop attackers from scoring.
So you are like the defender of the goalie then? Your
Basically,
job is...
right in front of the goalie.
So you are like the assistant?
Basically. So they just bark orders at me, and I just had to listen.
Bark orders? Like orders or orders? Leland, tell me, because you now are in South Carolina. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So the words are different. You know what I mean? People speak differently. Like, I mean, I do comedy and I joke about it all the time. And I say, I'm here learning to speak English in a different language. Do you feel that way too?
Yeah, definitely. Because sometimes, you know, the accent kind of goes too fast for them. So you have to kind of slow down, kind of see words a little differently for them to understand. So it's not, you know, you get tired of repeating yourself after a while.
So you just have to dilute your stuff.
Sometimes, yeah.
You know, somebody gave me, there was an American girl who was playing for the Trinidad team years ago. And she was so confused because on the team, they kept saying on the field, Pashina, Pashina, Pashina. And she was like, I have no idea who Pashina is. Like, I've never met this girl on the team, but everybody keeps saying Pashina, Pashina. And all they were trying to tell her was Pashina, Pashina.
Yeah.
I mean, English is a beautiful thing. Tell me, what have you taken from swimming to soccer that has helped you think, in terms of success?
Tough question. I think personally, because swimming is such a individual sport, you kind of have to work on your craft, your thing. So I kind of put that into soccer. Although it's a team sport, you still have to, you know, kind of work at what you do best to help the team. Okay. If that makes sense.
It does. So you take some of your individualistic characteristics and you sort of bring that to the team.
Exactly.
Okay. Briefly tell me the difference between playing for a US football team or soccer team and a Trinidadian team. What is the difference in the cohesiveness of the team? Is it different?
Yeah. Well, I never played pro in Trinidad because straight out of college, I played pro in America. But from my experience playing with Fatima, I'd say a little different because in the sense that Fatima kind of, you know, you're playing 3, 4, 5 years with the same guys, you know, from since 4 Mondays, you're playing with these guys. So in the sense that pro, you kind of, you know, every year new guys come in, new guys kind of mesh with the team, different parts of the world. So it definitely have a different feel to it, but I won't say is, you know, any better or any less cohesive.
So it doesn't feel a little disjointed or anything like that. It kind of blends in eventually.
Not really. At times it could be because there's so many, I won't say egos, but different personalities, as opposed to, you know, Trinidadians kind of, you know, it's Trinidadians, you know, you feel like you always could relate to them.
Mm-hmm. What would you say to fans who attack you, don't deal well with losses? Like people who think, you know, you're like, you don't want to win. What do you say to people like that?
There's not really much you could say to them because...
Yes, tell them something. Dig deep and tell them what you're feeling in your stomach.
Like I said before, everybody entitled to their own opinion, but I mean, sometimes, you know, people are human just like they are, so I feel like sometimes it's not as good to get on them as much as you should, but I mean, that's it comes with the sport, I guess. Professional athletes, people are always going to have their own opinion about you, so kind of have to deal with it just like they're going to deal with us losing 7-0.
7-0. I don't know if Jason has the clip ready. Jason, do you have the clip ready? I want to show you a clip.
Oh God.
Well, tell me, what would you say to this person, Leland?
I don't even know. I'll probably tell him, good job on winning that race, but I don't remember place on that podium, but you definitely have a long journey ahead of you in different sports, in a different sport.
That's what you'll tell him. Look at him. What you would say to him?
I don't even know what I was thinking in this picture right there. Right, thinking,
what would you say to him? You wouldn't tell him, next time get your size in your tracksuit. You know, next time you wouldn't say that.
Nah, that was it. That was if they look back then.
Oh, so you'll tell him. Would you tell him swim your own race? Would you tell him that? Which coach used to tell you that? Do you remember that?
Keith,
the great Keith Thomas. Swim your own race. And I guess the same thing, play your own game, right?
Exactly.
So tell me, parting words, what would you like? Tell people in Trinidad where they can support you, how they can support you, and you know, what you would like more of from Trinidad and Tobago, and less of. I'm just kidding. Just more of, and where they can find you.
Games always showing on USL YouTube page live on weekends. One coming up on Friday, so you could always tune into that. And
Friday?
Yeah, Friday night, 7 o'clock. And kind of just...
What time? Because is it the same time?
Yeah, the same time as Trinidad right now.
Okay.
And just kind of, you know, holy faith with Trinidad and Tobago national team. I think they'll definitely be where they need to be in the years coming.
In due course?
Yes.
And what's your Facebook or Instagram? Where can people find you?
Facebook, Leland Archer. Instagram, at Leland Archer. Simple and easy.
And that's it?
That's it.
Just don't come and look for your way you live in. I mean, tell them, you know what I mean? Just, they could find it everywhere else except where you live in.
Just don't be too harsh on the social media. That's it.
All right. Leland, I enjoyed chatting with you. I can't believe, look at how we same age now, life, eh? This thing happened so quickly. It was lovely chilling with you. My first episode. So good to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.
Be good. Bye, everybody. I'm going to be chillaxing now.
Hey, good evening, everyone. How are you all? All right, so I'm here hosting the Coaches Connection tonight. All right, well, this evening, how we call it. Tonight we want to discuss, where we are. We're going to get into trying to bridge the gap. And I think, as some of you will be watching the USA swimming trials, we'll see, nothing is new under the sun. We need to get our house in order. And we have seen that, taking bits and pieces from all around the world could add to the product we have. So tonight, the panel will be Franz Huggins, head age group coach, Ransom Everglades Aquatic Club, Miami, Florida, former national swimmer, coach, club head coach, Marlins and Aries Aquatics, a national record holder, actually producer of the Chlorine Callaloo soundtrack as well, so you could bob your head to that. Right? We also have Asia Joseph. Right, former assistant strength and conditioning coach, Florida International University, FIU, former national volleyball player. Most of you will know her because she often hosts this program with myself and sometimes Yavi as well. Right, you also have Strasser. Right, he has been in the program before. Assistant head coach, Pacific Seawolves Canada, former national swimmer and club head coach. Right, so the panel tonight is a pretty interesting one. besides me, everyone here has experience working locally and abroad. So we want to touch on what you all have learned through the different experiences. I mean, me, I'm your host, Deronn Samlalsingh, right? I personally see it crucial for persons who have experienced more than just the educational or coaching side of the field, right? All of us here have been in the field. We have shed the sweat, the calories, you name it. We know how it feels. So when we talk to a swimmer, we're not talking from a textbook. We're talking from experience, right? And I think as the interview tonight with Mr. Borde clearly said it, that, hey, we have to learn more about our history. And I mean, in starting, right, I want you all to, I mean, we don't know as yet, but we want to see where we think our history would lie when our coaching days are done, right? So firstly, I want to start off. Give us a little description of your role and responsibility in your current position, please. You could start with ladies first. So Asia, you could start, then we could go to Franz, then Strasser.
Okay. So good night, everybody. Good night, Deronn. Nice to see you. Right.
Hey.
Right. So okay, so basically my role as a strength and conditioning coach is to improve athletic performance and help decrease the risk of injuries. So with that, it entails assessing athletes, monitoring, evaluating strength and conditioning programs. I oversee their lifting sessions, and I also meet with the other coaches, meet with the other members of staff to kind of collaborate and make sure that these athletes are getting the best service to help improve their athletic career and see how far they can currently reach. So that's it in kind of like a nutshell as a strength coach.
Nice. Thanks. Franz?
Good night, everyone. Excuse my voice. Was losing it on a meet over the weekend. My role basically now is head age group coach at a club in Miami. What that means in terms of USA swimming is generally kids who are 12 and under at the club. We forge a developmental pathway out of swim lessons from pre-competitive into those who are just learning to be competitive, into those who are learning to train. I do have a few 14 and 13-year-olds that I coach as well who are relatively young in the sport, who have potential, who are fully competitive, but still don't have the experience yet to move forward into the senior group. So that's pretty much what I'm doing right now.
Nice. And Strasser, last but not least.
Hi, good night, everyone. Even though it's 6 o'clock where I'm at. But as the assistant head coach, I think I'm all the way on the next side, and timing is so far off. But as assistant head coach, right now I lead the youth provincial groups. So kids between 12 and 14. So that'll be the highest youth group and the lowest senior group, which will be provincial, like kids develop at the lowest senior level, so from 15 plus.
Okay, nice. All right. So I mean, guest viewers, you all know who they are. So now let's get into the meat of it. Right. So I'll start off with Franz. Right. Well, going through your resume, we saw you wore and wear many hats. Right. But what I didn't touch on, which I'll touch on now, I mean, you, in addition to previously stated, you were also the first vice president of ASAT, the Trinidad Amateur Swimming Association, right? This person is charged with the technical direction of aquatics. With your overseas experience now, I'm not saying that you didn't have it when you were here, but I mean, with age comes experiences. You would see things differently now, right? What would you say you would have done differently now if you were still in that position?
I don't know that I would have done a whole lot more differently in terms of the technical applications that we tried to put in place. I think for a small country like ours, we have to be really thorough in terms of developing talent appropriately. One of the mistakes that I think we've made traditionally, and this goes back to when I was swimming and even before, is that we have this obsession with getting kids on national teams at 8, 9, 10 to make goodwill, and then eventually to get the moniker of the team at 12. There are a lot of inherent pressures that come with that when we have kids exposed to media and interviews and going abroad and staying in camps and not having access to their parents. And the sport becomes very serious very quickly. Yeah. One of the things that they don't encourage here is a whole lot of that. And yes, they do have, meets like zones where the kids will go off and represent their local organization, ours being Florida Gold Coast. But it's not the same level of pressure, I think, that we apply on our kids. Remember, too, we were funded largely through government subventions. And the government subventions were heavily reliant or based on performance. And a lot of the performances of these kids played a role in that overall performance measurement. So sadly, we put a lot of pressure, I think, very early on kids without even letting them know how much, they should really enjoy the sport for what it is and enjoy learning and growing and competing just for the fun of it and not to make it a high pressure sport. I think one of the things that we could have done better was parent education. Parents need to know the role that they play in helping their kids become really proficient in the sport early rather than being, world beaters really early. Long-term athlete development is key towards making a successful base of swimmers who we would like to take to the next level at 14, 15, 16, and so on.
By the time the US and other first world countries ready to start to apply the pressure, our athletes already burnt out, huh?
Well, there's a lot of that, right? So, I mean, when you look at the projections, I remember bringing this up as while chairing a swim committee meeting. I implored all the coaches around me to tell me, which 10 and under record holders made it to the Olympics.
Yeah.
And there were only two, right? Nicholas Borvell and Siobhan Cropper. I think those are still the only two. And Siobhan, for her worth, she went to Stanford. She had a really great collegiate career. But Nicholas suffered a lot of injuries later on in his career. And he was the one who had the records before George. George didn't have a record until he was in 13 or 14. And you look at two brothers who are, genetically similar. I mean, George did get more height and more growth later on, but they're from the same genetic makeup. And one had a clearly different path than the other, and one lasted much longer in the sport than the other.
Indeed. I saw both of them firsthand. So, I mean, I could attest to that. It speaks volumes, but until we're ready to learn and accept, I think we'll still be spinning top in mud. So this is where we're trying to get these wheels out of the mud and some traction. Huh?
Yeah.
All right. On to Asia. Having competed at university level in Trinidad and Tobago, all right, and now you're coach at this level in the US, right? How do you compare? All right, so comparing what you would have received as an athlete of the sport, right, versus in terms of like treatment from schooling, coaching, etc., versus what now you would see your athletes receive and what you're expected to give as a coach, right? How do you compare the standards down here versus what is in the US?
I would say it's definitely chalk and cheese. I think just touching back to last week's episode, Chantal Ross, by the way, Chantal taught me at UTC management, so big up you. But it's basically, it starts with administration. And I think everything here is, we have the right idea, we want to do the right thing, but everything is so disconnected that nobody knows what's going on in the academic side of things. Nobody knows what's going on the sports side of things. So then you have that clash in terms of scheduling classes, athletes showing up late for class, athletes getting kicked out of classes. Then when you come to the high performance side of it, the staff, at least I think, it wasn't gelled together. Everything was okay if you want to go to training. Some athletes, if you didn't want to go, you didn't have to go. But I think now with our athletes at FIU, is like they have that cohesive kind of that open communication where
everybody knows what's going on with everybody at whatever time given. I know where my athletes are. I know they have tutoring. I know they have strength and conditioning at this time. I know after training they have to go to the rehab room, whether you're injured, yes or no. They have a nutritionist there to make sure that, okay, this person isn't within correct range and stuff like that. So I think, I mean, seeing the athletes there and what they are receiving compared to being an athlete here is definitely like mind blowing. But you know, I think that is how it should have been in the first place, where everybody has that open communication and they should know, well, okay, this person has class at whatever, so we need to switch training or we need to switch stuff like that. And I mean, and all of the swimmers from UTT are probably here like Marie and Christian Hour. They could attest and tell you, well, the times that they would leave Olera, that's in South, to go to Chaguaramas to train in the morning, to come back to South for class at 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. And this is like every single day. So when you look at administration, to me, I think it starts there. And we definitely need to get things in order. But yeah.
So down here we have students and athletes. Over there you'll have students and athletes.
Exactly. We have students and athletes. We don't have student athletes at all.
That's that reality, yeah? So Strasser, I see you stood there, so I know you know the system all too well. Right? But Strasser,
yeah, I did that for
I know yeah. I know we've discussed sometime in the past, sorry. I think yourself and myself and Joseph Ryan and myself would have discussed similar topics, right? Where we're discussing the system abroad, right? You as a coach now, so we're not discussing you as an athlete, but we're discussing you as a coach, right? Being in this system, I know you spoke when we last spoke, you said, hey, it could be a bit, I don't want to say the wrong word, but it's not very encouraging sometimes working in the system we have down here, right? So being in the system you are in now, is it more encouraging or complementary to your goals as a coach?
Well, I think Asia puts it right. Chalk and cheese. You know, if you want to do this right and you want to be a coach full time and you want your salary to reflect a full-time status as a coach, it is almost impossible to do that in Trinidad. I did it. I tried to do it for almost 5 years when I head coached at Barracudas, and you reach your limit very, very quickly. So out here in Canada, you have so many opportunities. I'm sometimes a bit overwhelmed with the opportunities that we have because I'm just not used to it. If I, let's just say, I'm looking to move up in pay grade or whatever, or in prestige, there's a way for me to do it. In Trinidad, you're very, very limited. And yeah, and I think another thing that to me might mean a bit more is the culture that comes with that. There's a very professional culture here when it comes to coaches, where coaches are held in high regard compared to Trinidad, where you can run into quite a few people that will view your career as like low ranking, and they might make
just
little, yeah, oh yeah, your short pants job, right?
Right. Franz, do you think in Trinidad, right? I mean, you discussed a point I would often bring up, where how many of the 10 and under superstars have gone on, right? So, I mean, do you think Trinidad, the problem lies in the talent, or it lies in us being able to harvest the talent?
I don't think that we, you know, I don't want to speculate on what a coach's ability is without having the time and the resources to properly execute their goals. I, for one, never held the majority of coaches in any low regard at all that I worked with on several teams. There are people who have, you know, some very distorted views as to how to develop kids. But I don't think that that's the majority. I think many people understand that there's a right way and a wrong way, and there's certain variables within that. I think the issue really, as Strasser has pointed out, is that it's a vocation more than a profession. it's something that you do part-time. You kind of pick it up after work. So you're not thinking about coaching while you are doing your day job. You're not thinking about how to make that talent that is in your club get to the next level because you have a report due at the end of the day before you bust out to the office to go on deck. There are simple differences that occur, that exist in this realm here, where coaches are to the point of obsession about their profession. They want their club and their kids to perform, and that could be, the 12-year-old who is just trying to make, the end of season championship cut, or the 16-year-old who is supremely talented, who might be at Olympic trials this week. Everybody has their role to play in that chain of development, and they take it seriously. Nobody's really trying to step out of their role to become, a jack of all trades. And we have coaches who are, unfortunately, just kind of pegged into a situation where they may have great talent, but they're just not able to harvest it because of a lack of resources, lane space, time, and then kids have a system where, academia is not really supporting them after a certain age in Trinidad. They have to make a decision as to how much they're going to put forth to make sure that they're successful in their exams in Form 5 and go on to Form 6. And, I've always seen drop off at 15, 16 years old, where school now becomes this huge priority and weight that affects their ability to train. I never think that we are starved for talent. I think we are lacking a system that supports, one, the growth of the talent, and two, the growth of the coach to be able to devote that time towards their own personal professional development in getting better and more knowledgeable, and being able to take that knowledge and transfer it into an athlete that can go from being a very good age grouper into a very good senior into an elite swimmer.
All right. Before I'll put Asia and Strasser in the hot seats to discuss the system and the coaching and stuff. But I mean, it's hard to separate the two, but I'll just ask you for this question I'm about to ask, right? So let's say we had things relatively settled in the aspects you discussed just now, right? Compare in our athletes, I'm going to give you 3 topics, right? Well, 3 issues. Which would you say is the biggest issue for Trinidad out of these 3, right? In swimming, foundational skill, keeping the passion alive, or the lack of the know-how so you mentioned coaching, right? So the lack of the coaches knowing how to transition from an age grouper to a professional or elite swimmer. Out of those 3, which would you say is our biggest hindrance in Trinidad and Tobago?
This is for me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think that there's a real, I think there's a real problem with coaches having the know-how because of the limited resources available to them.
Okay, fair enough.
Right? If we had a system in place that allowed these coaches to be full-time and that allowed a sort of a national setup which provided, athletes with the resources to train more healthy, more often, to not feel as though they're compromising other areas of their life, where a team of people were working together. The coach is just one cog in the wheel. There's strength. What Asia provides is invaluable at different levels of development. There is an injury prevention cycle that every child should go through between the ages of 10 and 12. There should be a stability cycle that they go through transitioning from 12 to 14. There should be a developing strength in a very moderate way from 14 to 16, and then a wholehearted strength implementation from 16 onward. But we don't have all the tools because we have coaches trying to be strength trainers, when they're not certified to do it. I can't tell you to go in a gym and lift weights if I don't myself know how to go ahead and help you strengthen yourself. These are the traditional aspects of our training that I think that we've, let go for too long. I see a lot of specialist people coming up now in the last 5 to 10 years to help with that. But it goes beyond that. How do you then help with the psychological aspect? How do you help a child who has a potential eating disorder? How do you, the different silos that have to be melded into one. And the coach can't do that by themselves. But if they don't have, the resources or the persons around them on their team, and I don't mean team as in club, I mean the team of professionals that I could say, look, every member of my club, if you have, issues with nutrition, this is my nutritionist. Go see them. This is my strength trainer. Go see them. That there has to be an evolution of the swim club that becomes more than just the swim club. It becomes the athlete development club, where swimming is the primary sport and the primary focus. But it goes beyond just laps in a pool and coming out and doing stretch goals and push-ups in an afternoon. There's a lot more that goes into it. I think once we have created a system that allows for that to occur across the board, we will start to see more fruit at that level. I also want to point out that years ago, when Noala was aquatic director, we were developing a plan for a universal learn to swim program, which never got off the ground. And so you have the fortunate from an economic standpoint, but unfortunate from a technical standpoint, circumstance of having these pop-up learner swims in people's backyards all around the country, where there's no uniform national certification or set of criteria for kids to learn how to swim properly. So somebody may say, oh, my child floats and goes across the water on their own. They know how to swim. But do they know how to swim from the nationalized set of criteria that allows you to become a pre-competitive swimmer at a club? Do they know the basics of freestyle backstroke butterfly? Do they understand side glide on freestyle? Do they understand swimming side glide on their backstroke? Do they understand that breaststroke is no longer a wide kick as it was 25 years ago? A narrow, I don't want to get into too much technicality, but I mean, I'm saying that if we became a little bit more purposed in uniting and bringing our knowledge together and having a national program, we would be much better off overall, where everybody would have an opportunity to, as we say in local parlance, eat a food off of the sport, rather than everybody just fighting their own fight for supremacy.
Agreed. Yeah. So we discussed the coaches with the limitations, right? But you are, as you were just said to be invaluable, and you're very social as well. So you interact with a lot of coaches, in different sectors, different sports, right? Do you think Trinbagonian coaches, with the right opportunity and resources from what you have seen, have what it takes to produce world-class athletes?
Of course. I definitely think if we have the right resources, and if we are passionate enough about developing athletes and again, as Mr. Huggins rightfully said, making sure that these athletes are developed all rounded, then we will definitely find a way and make a way to get it done. So yes, I definitely think with the right resources, then we could create top athletes just like anybody else in any other part of the world.
All right. And Strasser, so we know technology, we have a lot of issues, but we know technology is an issue, right? The cost of it, the availability, so we always play second fiddle. It's difficult, to be honest. But how do you think, as coaches in Trinidad, right, within the sector we are in, limited technology, sports is often viewed as, hey, by the way, right? How do you think we could better bridge the gap within the limited resources?
Technology, you see. So some people, because I stay in contact with a lot of coaches in Trinidad, and a lot of times I run into this view that they think we have we have access to certain things that at the age group level, they coaches in Trinidad absolutely must have in order to succeed. But like, it's not like at the age group level we are doing significant like lactate testing or appropriating some sort of advanced science. Like everything that I have done right now in my current role, I've done that and more while I was in Trinidad. There's a huge, I think, view that coaching is difficult. Just like Franz said, there's a right way and a wrong way, and there's a bit of play with that. And coaches in Trinidad, they think they need to, they ignore that altogether. I've spoken to some coaches, and the things that I hear where what they're doing with younger athletes, where, oh, well, an 18-year-old is doing this. Well, I have a 12-year-old, they want to be a sprinter, and we're going to just copy this workout right. And like, if this is just a miniature adult, and it does not work. If anything, you're setting that athlete up for absolute failure in a year, in a few years. That's plaguing us right now.
Strasser, you're breaking up. Hello?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, agreed, yeah. Lack of education. Huh?
Yeah.
But
like,
I know,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I was gonna say, just to kind of add to what you were saying, like I follow a lot of if you want to call it big time strength coaches, and I look at what they do with their athletes, and you will see they come back to the same squat, hinge, push, pull, carry, brace. So like, I understand the use of technology, as we all know, it has its time and place, but I mean, with athletes, the basics still work. No matter what you do, it still comes down to foundational training and making sure these athletes can do these things to prevent injuries, especially in a sport like swimming where you see a lot of overuse injuries. Just to kind of add to that.
Yeah, agreed. I suppose,
yeah,
I mean, we know our limitations. Strasser?
Yeah.
I think you're a little deep. Yeah,
No, it's like delayed.
Yeah. I suppose it's just like COVID. This program was bred through COVID times. You just have to think outside the box and find a way to work within the limitations to get the desired goal or as close to it as possible. Huh? Asia, while I have you here, being through and through, right? I mean, we always talk about it. Will things ever change? Will we ever get where we want to be? Has your passion for change in Trinidad and Tobago sport dwindled?
I would say no. Don't do that. So no. I mean, I always tell people. I mean, I love being exposed, as Strasser said, to the opportunities that abroad has. Like, and I think I was actually part of that that headspace where I didn't think coaching was a real job. But this was since before I started coaching. Like I always saw it as, oh no, it's something people do in the afternoon. And to me now, as I'm coaching for the past 11 years, like there isn't enough time in the day. Like I need more hours in the day. Like what is this? You're always programming. They always doing something. And then when one sport is out of season and next team is in season, and then you have so many things going on. But to answer your question, no, it hasn't dwindled. It has actually increased now that I'm home and I'm actually working with a lot of athletes. And it's like I always say, like I see so much talent here. It gets so overwhelming because like I think I told you this already, like when I coach athletes, I don't want to say that they're not good, but because they have that that help and those resources to make like they get better eventually. You don't have a choice but to get better because okay, 4 days for the week, you have to go to strength training, you have to go to the recovery room, you have to do certain things to get better. And I think we depend too much on talent here, and we don't see the need for everything else to kind of come together. And I think with development and with education, and once we need to first accept these things and embrace it and be like, okay, if we need change and if we want to get better, then we could get better, but it hasn't dwindled, like my goal is still to come back and have a facility where the athletes is like a one-stop shop. You have an athletic trainer there, you have a massage therapist there, you have a nutritionist, you have a sports psychologist, somebody to talk to. You have everything there as an athlete that you would need if you want to get better in your sport and perform at a high level without being injured every 2 minutes, to have a good season. Have a sport agent. If you want to go and play professional, you have somebody there with the connections to help you get to where you want to be. So hopefully within the next, I want to say 10 years, I will come back, and definitely, because I like to see my flag. I don't know about you guys, but I love to see red, white, and black on away. But that's my country. That's our athlete, and we should feel proud knowing that what we have and where we are now. And just imagine, as coaches, you all will know, as coaches, if we have like a good foundation and a good communication, and everybody kind of lock in together and come together and network, share ideas, have a coach, and have discussions like this on a regional level, on a national level, how much better we could be, how much more Olympians we could create, how much more national teams we could, and to me, I see I getting carried away. But I think that answers your question. I was like, no, it hasn't done. It's actually it's heightened now, and even in COVID, a lot of athletes still coming out to train. They want to train. They're hungry for it. Even with your little summers, I get so excited to see them. I always ask, hey, how are they going? I miss you guys. I miss you all. I look forward to seeing them. I look forward to seeing Jovan dead on the mat every
where
session.
they came from, huh? Where they came from.
Yeah, but I want to see them eventually in the long run. On a big, doing whatever they want to do. If it's national, like being a national team, if that's a goal, then I would love to see them there, and I love to see more athletes, representing the red, white, and black.
I think we need to stop treating sport like Benjamin Button cases. I think we often say, when these sporting careers almost ended, when the person has done all they could wrong, right? Get through, we then want to say, hey, let's try and get this person on the right track.
Yeah.
But the cart's already gone before the
horse.
horse.
Exactly.
Right?
It's always back to front.
Yeah, so we need to really, I will give my closing remarks after, but yes, true. Right, Strasser, I know Franz mentioned it with Hayden Uwalo, the universal learn to swim. So it's something I actually want to touch on with you. Do you think it would benefit clubs in Trinidad to find partner clubs and, let's say, emulate or find partner clubs in the States, Australia, wherever, right, that are credible, reputable, and sort of emulate their programs?
Yeah, definitely. We have always been a bit behind. A benefit to that is all the mistakes that they may have made over time. We quite a few of that and appropriate their programs.
You sound like Charlie Brown voice, sorry.
Oh God, it's the distance,
Right, go ahead,
Yeah, I think there's a lot of value in looking to models that have worked and not trying to figure things out on our own, especially when we do have limited resources. As Franz said, but we're not lacking for information. And if you wanted to get information on certain things, you'd have to spend a lot of money. Right now, you could go on YouTube, you could do a number of things. So when it comes to programming, how to put it? We are backward. We still have coaches showing up without a workout plan. We still have coaches showing up without, because I coach in Trinidad for 10 plus years, from a low level coming up. We still have coaches that, as Franz said, are trying to do everything. Again, and it's because of lack of resources. If the coach doesn't do it, who's going to do it? But we need to shift towards a model that is proven to work. And this third world mindset of, well, I'm going to get them all push-ups, I'm going to get them all sit-ups, very basic stuff. it might work when you're working with very young kids, but as you start coming up and they require more advanced and more specific work, that is out of our realm of expertise. We cannot, and that's like the head coach or the coach of a group. You coordinate things. You put them where they need to be. If they need that psychological assistance or support, you direct them in the right spot. You need nutritional support, you move them over there. We are far away from that, I think. I know Asia is very optimistic about where we can go.
I am.
I would like to be, but if you look at the trajectory, it's I am very disheartened with the direction that we're going, unfortunately.
True. Franz, as we try to bridge the gap, I mean, we know administration is our big issue for us, right? And some could say, hey, you know what, swimming is in your water, but it starts from the administrative aspect of it, right? If you were in a position to make a change in Trinidad and Tobago from the ground level, right, what would it be?
I would definitely institute a nationalized Learn to Swim program and a nationalized developmental program from which clubs could find resources, find information to start developing skill levels at a very basic level for all swimmers. Once we come to a place where we have a critical mass of swimmers having technical proficiency, we start doing the thing correct. We lay the foundation. From there on, it then becomes coach education on different phases of development so that we don't lose kids in that very, very important 12 to 15 age where they are going through their growth spurts, where they're deciding what strokes they're better at, where they're deciding what energy systems better suit them, if they're a distance swimmer, if they're a sprinter, if they're middle distance, where those things start coming more and more into play. We need to have coaches who can respond to that and who understand what that means. If you look at our results over the last 20 years, we've had very few kids swim very well in events above, 100. And how do we get more kids swimming 200s of stroke, 400 IM, and the 400, 800, and 1500 freestyles? We have to be able to encourage kids to move in that direction when they're not physically suited to swim the 50s and 100s. But none of that can occur until we create every 8 and under swimming technically proficient and learning the basics. So we literally will be spinning top in mud if we don't do that first.
Nice. Franz, as I have you here, just in closing, short and sweet, what has been one lesson learned? So Strasser and Asia, coming to you all after. What has been one lesson learned through time, through holding a current post, right, that you could look back at Trinidad and say we should try to correct immediately? Just one.
Well, I work at a private school, which, some people will say is, elitist. It's a pretty expensive place for people to send their kids. So the swim club is an offshoot of that school. And one of the things that I've been forced to understand is that my role is providing an experience for these children, right? It's not necessarily about, what I bring to the table in terms of my coaching knowledge and all of that. It's providing them with the opportunity to feel good about themselves every day. And that comes with the knowledge that you have, but you also need to implement a psychological approach that appeals to everyone. If that means at times stepping out of the team realm and reaching out to one or two kids who have personal issues, you have to be ready to do that every day, no matter how bad your day is going or how tired you are. And I think in Trinidad, we kind of forget that, people come from different backgrounds and experiences when they walk through our gates. And as much as we want everybody to conform to our methods and our team, we also have to be willing to reach out to people on an individual basis to figure out what their triggers are and give them the opportunity to excel within our program. We need to be dynamic enough, and certainly beyond where I work, the experience of the pandemic has forced a level of dynamism on anybody who has been wanting to keep their program going. So having that ability to be dynamic with each, individual on your team is very critical.
Nice. Asia?
I want to say two things, but I'll keep it short and sweet because I know we're limited for time.
Yeah.
But I want to like a lesson that I've learned is to kind of stay within your scope of practice. And in Trinidad, we like to say stay in your lane, right? You can't do it all, and with that, it means that you need to let other people in, allow other professions or professionals to do what they have to do. If I'm a strength coach, I'm not gonna step overboard and go and tell you how to teach freestyle. I'm not gonna come on the deck. I'm a strength coach. I can't prescribe supplements. I can't do certain things. And I think we have a problem. We have an issue with that in Trinidad where we feel that we need to be able to do everything. That is not the case, right? So I think that's definitely one lesson that I've learned, to kind of just stay in your lane. And with that comes opening up yourself and asking for help, asking for referring other people in, and not just thinking about yourself and kind of boosting you, but putting the athletes in the middle of everything to kind of help develop the person and not just your ego. Come down and fire high horse, stop it. That's all.
Yeah.
Come down, fire reach up there. Calm down.
Strasser?
Yeah, Deronn, you mind repeating the question, boy?
Yep. Through time and just being over there in a different system, right? What would you say that is one thing you've learned that you would like to see us correct immediately in Trinidad and Tobago?
One thing it would be that whole elite age grouper mindset. That's something that you cannot get away with within most first world programs. Back when I was coaching Petrotrin Barracudas, I tried to remove this setup where once you are a national swimmer, you move into the senior group. And because we have goodwill and we'll have 8 and unders, 9 to 10s, becoming national athletes, they move into the highest group and they're expected to be there. It comes from just the culture, from the parents pushing for it. But knowing that this shouldn't be done, I decided to, listen, we're not going to have these kids doing that. And I pulled all those 8 and under, 9 to 10 goodwill national athletes out of that group. They all left. They all left the club. And that is something that I believe really has to change, because most coaches, when they're faced with that, what will you do? You will adjust the suit. You don't want to lose. I mean, that's your income. You don't want to lose your swimmers. So what you're going to do? You're going to start let me push you in, because you might. I had no problem with them leaving, but I had a unique setup with Petrotrin where we had free reign over the pool and we were not struggling for finances at all. But that is something that I appreciate, and I hope that Trinidad can gain a greater appreciation for that, because that's the only way I can see we could maximize the talent. Because even though we can't create talent necessarily, we can ruin talent, and we do a lot of that.
Yeah, I think our culture tells us that taking time for development means pulling up your handbrakes and lessening a chance for the future. So they think, hey, I have a short time span, let me just get it in. And they think, hey, you know what, cutting corners and going about it the wrong way, not correcting this before you correct that, is a perennial problem. I want to thank you all, Franz, Asia, Strasser, invaluable information. I mean, viewers, we don't plan this. I know you've heard things echoed from Asia, from Franz to Strasser. You think that they read it from a script. This is not planned. I mean, we need to, even if we don't get it right in our generation, we need to start the ball rolling so that it will get right eventually.
Yeah.
All right, we can't continue to allow it to rot. I thank you all so much for taking the time from the Olympic trials, the US Olympic trials tonight. I thank you all so much. All right, this has been Coaches Connection. I mean, I hope you all learned something, took something from this. I definitely did. Good night, everyone.
Appreciate it.
Bye.